Welcome in. It's the Charlotte Soccer Show. John Hayes, Danny Brams. We're here on YouTube on what is a Sunday night recording time for us, Danny Brams. It's just about the bottom of the hour at the 6 o'clock hour, almost 6:30 Eastern time on Sunday night. And it was about 24 hours ago, Danny. We were 2 hours from kickoff. We were feeling the vibe at Elizabeth Parlor Room. Thanks so much to all of our tremendous friends of the show for making it out to the watch party on Saturday night. And we were dreaming of a W, and here we are today, almost 24 hours later, and it's a 3-1 loss. And I know you've got a lot on your mind tonight.
Yeah, John. But first, I just have to give it up because you were right. You called it. You said, I'm feeling a loss. It's hard to pick a loss for your own team, but you sensed that things were not quite fully solved from the New England loss, and that you knew. I think you knew more than I did, or at least were willing to admit to yourself more than I was, that going into a brand new team, an expansion team that's riding high off a big win and their first game in their home stadium, and they've been waiting for this for years. That's no small task. You know, that's like that is a really tough environment to go into, and we learned it. We learned it the hard way. We effed around and found out a little bit. Nice for Copetti to get the first ever goal in the history of City Park. I think that's cool. I wish it would have been enough. Unfortunately, the team completely lost their composure, and I think, you know, we can get into it. I'm first and foremost not going to blame the ref. What I will do is blame us for getting tilted on a bad ref. The ref was bad. Certainly the ref didn't make us lose, but our reaction to bad reffing is probably what made us lose.
He was putting on a performance, the referee,
Right,
an absolute
exactly.
performance. You could tell early and often in that first half, and Tyler Daly was there, a tremendous friend of the show, someone that
One of the OGs.
Spends a lot of time on a soccer pitch doing refereeing.
Really?
And he had mentioned early and often in that match, he said, wow, if he's stopping play and having these conversations 15, 20 minutes into the match, then that's not a good sign for how he's going to manage this game from here on out. But
yeah, it was the ref show. You remember there was a time like early on when they wouldn't let Westwood take a corner kick. Like it was like a 3 or 4 minute process just to be able to like take a corner kick. It was really in fact, he sent one in at a false start.
Every single stoppage of play. But that being said, he didn't head the ball into our net. He didn't give it away to a St. Louis player, and he didn't handball one in the box either. So
not sure if Carroll handballed either,
despite the refereeing. It was last week we said not good enough, and strangely enough, I thought yesterday from an attacking and a tactical point of view, it was good enough. Right? If you go and watch that game back, which I plan on doing in the next couple of days, you know, you feel really good about the way Charlotte FC was able to connect with each other, move the ball. You like that goal early. And all of a sudden, the reason why things fall apart is because the team is just patchwork at the back. And that's what happens when you have a desperate signing like Bill Tuiloma, who has played well in this league and has scored goals. But he's only been in this city and in this state for a couple months, or excuse me, a couple weeks. And it's showing that there's no chemistry at the back. And it's not just mistakes that happened in the back that led to both goals from open play. It's really egregious mistakes. So if you take those egregious mistakes aside and you think about the handball in the box as bad luck, which it was. I mean, Carroll's arm was just a bit outside of his silhouette. You know,
I mean, the guy kicked it at Carroll's hand. He wasn't even trying to make a play. He just kicked it at Carroll's hand. But whatever.
It was certainly bad luck. But I came away, even though it was a 3-1 loss, I came away feeling better about what I saw on Saturday night compared to the week before at Bank of America Stadium.
Yeah, forward progress was made. That I think we called them a club with no ideas against New England. They just like had no idea like how to string 3 passes together to create anything. This week was much better. The positive signs, I thought Camille played his best game as a Charlotte FC player. Honestly, I really do. The way he was so brave on his runs and in traffic and staying up and like could have gone down but stayed up a couple times. That happened in creating the attack that led to Carroll's cross. That was Copetti's goal. And, you know, Carroll came in for major criticism. He got subbed early. I think the sub early was a mistake. I think you sub Westwood out at that point and keep Carroll in. Carroll had created a goal. Westwood was cooked. He ended up needing a sub shortly afterwards. So it's like I would have just kept Carroll in at that point and subbed Ashley out because I think Ashley's still getting back in like back-to-back week game shape after coming off a 9-month ankle injury, obviously. So Westwood wasn't great, but Camille was good. Copetti earned a lot of wrath. The neutral observer, the casuals out there will be like, oh, this guy's a baby. He's a whiner. He's always complaining, because he was. I mean, he's in 2 games that I've seen him play, regular season games. He's very animated about talking to the ref about when he feels aggrieved. What I don't like that it's like he's always grabbing his calf and his legs like every single time he goes down, like just because like that scares me. I was like, we can't have Enzo get hurt, right? But like, so when he's like faking an injury, that's just like making my heart rate go up. So just a personal favor to me, Enzo, like, can you save the play acting of being hurt for when you're actually hurt, please? Because just make my watching experience a little bit better. But I don't know. I in the end, he's just needs to score goals, and no one. Then it's like then if he's an a-hole, at least he's our a-hole, and we love him. So it's, I mean, one way or the other. But
I was impressed by him. I thought he looked so much better last night than he looked on the first match when he was kind of left out on an island against New England. I thought last night he looked fast. He was quick to recover balls that were hit deep over the top. And I just came away, especially with that headed finish to start the scoring last night. I thought it was a well-taken header, perfectly placed, a beautiful touch goal. And that was the prince that was promised, to steal a line from our episode.
Exactly.
When Copetti got signed, like that's what the high dollar price tag transfer fee was set for. That plays like that, and I think with Karol Swiderski being on the end of that, Danny, I think it's really easy to be negative about this loss, but it's 3 giveaway goals. Let's just I really want to get that out there very, very clearly. It's 3 giveaway goals. It's not like this team surrendered 3 goals. It was 3 individual moments, 3 individual mistakes that surrendered 3 goals. Right. It wasn't about the team play. This should have been a 1-1 draw at the very, very least.
Sure.
Could have been a 2-1 win at I think the most, or could have been a 1-0 win as well if you take away those egregious mistakes. So I don't want to sit here and totally dwell on the past. I think we've got to spin things forward to Atlanta this Saturday at some point. But first, Danny, and we can do that later in the week on our preview show. But first, the one thing I want to do is get your reaction to the changes Christian Lattanzio made in the starting 11. It was a bold decision to play Bram Bronico at left back. Andre Shinyashiki comes in to start in that number 10 position. Karol Swiderski moves out onto the right. Kamil Jóźwiak holds his place at left back. Derek Jones is injected into the lineup as well. What'd you make of all these changes?
So to me, it was a problem-solving lineup is what I would call it. I thought it solved the problem of you want to get Westwood, Bronico, Jones, and Swiderski all on the field together, right? And what it did was, since Westwood, Jones, and Bronico are kind of 3 guys for 2 spots, and then it allowed you to put Westwood and Jones in the midfield, and you still have Bronico on the pitch. And the other thing is, if you watched Charlotte FC tactically, no one's really talking about this, but it's definitely something I've witnessed just from the preseason games we went to, and then these first 2 games of the regular season. Lattanzio has the left back, whoever it's been, whether it's Mora, Affel, or now Bronico, the left back is playing almost like a second central mid at times. Like, they really are just hanging out there off the box, and that's just by design. I mean, that's when we're in possession. When we're defending, then he's back in a typical like left back position, defending that right wing for the opponents. But when we're in possession, watch our left back, whoever it is really moving up. And you saw Bronico in a lot of central positions for sure. He was wide. He was wide coming into the box, sort of trailing the play. There you can see him react on the Copetti goal. He's like one of the first people to go, yeah, it's great. So, but he was getting all over the pitch. At times, he even moved all the way over to the right. It was kind of end of game desperation situation. But one time, he came all the way over to the right and like served up across from the right, and then like ran back to his spot on the left. So, I don't know. I don't think Bronico was the problem. We had a Tifos question, I think, from a friend of the show, Mike Volak, who just wanted to know, like, was the Bronico experiment a good one? From my point of view, it wasn't what cost us the match. And Brant, I think he was kind of learning the position in real time in a way. Like he was kind of like, oh, this is what I need to do. This is not what I need to be doing now. He's kind of like questioning him. But I don't know. Volak says, considering we win 1-0, if you take away all the breakdowns, would you run back to the same lineup? I almost probably would, except we also have to talk about Nuno Santos, the impression he made in coming in as a sub. Does he deserve more minutes? So he's adding to the selection dilemmas in midfield for sure. That's maybe why Carroll out at the right wing was another kind of experiment that Lattanzio went with. What did you think of that? What did you think of Carroll on the right wing as a left-footed player? He did serve in the cross for the assist. He basically got like ripped in this game. What his SOFA score rating 6.8 was, it could have been worse, I think, but I just saw a lot of criticism of him. People have high expectations for him. I actually think he's not getting the ball enough. I just think he needs to be a guy like a Zelarayan, like a Heel, like a Reynoso, who just always has the ball because he does good things with it. He served up this assist real nice. The assist he served to Copetti tonight was kind of like the Birmingham Legion assist that he served up to József. So I don't know. I like his crosses coming in from the wing a lot right now.
I do too. It was a good decision, and I think that Christian Lattanzio injecting Andre Shinyashiki into the match, I thought that was an interesting move as well. There's two issues when you talk about player ratings, right? Andre Shinyashiki and Brant Bronico both rated under a 6, which is pretty poor, and that's obviously not ideal. And you look at the situation and you ask yourself why. I mean, you can dive into Brant Bronico's stats and you can see, there's one ground duel out of 8, and just not a lot of key passes and just not a lot of real action into the game. I think he was a Band-Aid, and as far as like his future at left back and him being a permanent replacement there, the answer is no way. Sure. But for Brant to be able to play that position and do so when the manager asked him to do, and do so in
of course
somewhat of a, remember, he wasn't one of the guys that gave up one of the goals. I'm more concerned about Andre Shinyashiki and his low SOFA score at 5.8. Not a ton of accuracy with his passes. Only one shot, and it was off target. Didn't really dribble the ball well, and struggled on the ground too. Lost possession a bunch of times.
16 is not good.
So you look at Andre Shinyashiki,
39 touches and 16 possessions lost. So that's like half of his touches. Basically, he's giving the ball to the opponent. That's Ben Bender like numbers.
Yeah, it's obviously not ideal, and but it doesn't deter me from thinking that ultimately, like we're very close to finding the 11, but but we haven't found it yet, and that's a problem because we've already played 2 matches.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, it made me think Lattanzio was listening to the pod, because like my suggestion was last week was like put Camille at left back, right? And he didn't do Camille, but he did do an experimental left back to sort of get our talented players to get Derek and Brant and Ashley all on the pitch together. It was a good, like, it was a nice try. I hope we don't necessarily have to do it again. We had some TIFOs tweeting us today that were like, I want to see Hamady Diop at the left back if we're just going to be doing experiments, and that might not be such a bad idea. I mean, the youngster, there's teenagers making an impact in this league every day. So, it's sad that like Tuiloma, even with the own goal, still had a way higher rating than Brant or Andre. I feel like Brant being so out of position all the time probably is what cost him in the SOFA score ratings, because he was just all over the place. Like I said, like our left back has really been playing up in this area, like right here, a ton of times. Just like,
I agree,
like moving in there, and then we really like. That leaves Camille isolated on the wing. He did better this game. This was, like I said, Camille, he's the highest rated SOFA score player. He definitely was a true warrior out there tonight. The Polish Bulldog. I mean, like a lot. I love a bright red heat map spot in the attacking zone, and he made some things happen on these runs for sure. Again, he got the hockey assist on Enzo's goal. Even sent in a cross, which he didn't accomplish last game. So there you go. In
an unforgettable 2 games. Or maybe a forgettable 2 games, if you're a Charlotte FC fan. Someone that's actually sticking out is Kamil József as a player that I think is playing well right now. And that's a good thing, because Enzo Copetti is as well, in my opinion. So, and by the way, I was looking at the I didn't realize you were clicking through all this as I was looking at another webpage here as well. So I appreciate you bringing this up and showing our viewers kind of how we break things down.
Yeah, a little visual aid for the people.
Yeah, I think if you could, take a look at this 11, and shout out to Pablo Cisniega. I know that he isn't rated high as well. It could have been 4-1 with 4 giveaway goals, because he early on in the first half gave away the ball and almost caused the goal as well.
Yeah. I think that move, you would get called for a foul in FIFA video game if you try to slide tackle the keeper to steal the ball away, but whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, Pablo
he did leave it exposed.
He did leave it exposed, but
now I'm drinking wine again. Now that you mentioned that play,
I'm proud of you for doing that. I'm taking it easy after last night's party. Had such a great time at EPR Elizabeth Parlor Room. It was great to see everybody there. And Pablo, I think at some point someone turned around to me and said, "Yeah, is there a goalkeeper competition?" And there's been a goalkeeper competition,
of course, since the end of last year.
There absolutely has been that. So
I just love Pablo's mentality.
Me too.
I'm a huge shout out to Pablo, because I just love the way, like, his pregame, his game face just really is like what I want to see out of a goalkeeper. I have a theory that there's, like, you've heard me say on the show before, the goalkeeper's always crazy. There is the opposite effect of that, which is the stoic goalkeeper. And Pablo is like the stoic goalkeeper, and really just, he hasn't necessarily but it was all errors. It was an own goal. It was the back pass. Like, he, for the most part, has really locked it down back there with some spectacular diving saves, some quick reactions. He made a point-blank save in the box in this match. And yeah, 6.3 is pretty harsh on him, I got to say.
So as far as finding out what the 11 is, I don't know. We're going to go through our projected 11 come Thursday for our preview episode. Danny, I know you're traveling this week. You're headed to the SEC basketball tournament, men's basketball tournament.
Hoops time. Yep.
That'll be fun. So back-to-back travel weeks for you and I. You're headed out of town this weekend, but our attention will still be.
Is someone going to fill in for me on Thursday, or what are we going to do? I don't know.
Good question. Maybe I'll just show up and talk for 60 minutes about how.
Can Beamer? Have we taught Beamer enough about soccer that she could fill in on the show? Probably not yet.
Probably not. Shout out to the bartenders and the staff over at Elizabeth Parlor Room for taking care of us.
Yeah, they treated us very nicely
and pouring those Modelo's all night. I still feel like I'm drinking Modelo's at this point.
Free Modelo's for the people, man. I think we were happy to do it. It was so great. Like, a couple dozen people showed up, and hopefully we'll grow. Like, it's not like we probably couldn't fit 100 people in there, but if we got 50, I think we'd be all having a really good time. So
it was great. The scenes when the first goal went in.
Yes.
Right. That's why I'm kind of torn. Like, I want to do like a game breakdown, but I also want to just talk about how the scenes in EPR when that goal went in, it was just absolutely lit in there. People were so pumped, and it was a celebratory mood, and things change quickly, and that can happen in soccer. But the good moments last night on Saturday
I had to resist the urge to do a beer shower. I was like, wait, this is a glass. I'm holding a pint glass. I can't throw this thing up in the air. So yeah, it was pretty funny.
It was beautiful to celebrate that goal. It was great to see so many good friends. But ultimately, Charlotte FC doesn't get the result, and that's 2 games, 0 points. A third game, a noon game against Atlanta United. This feels like I'm not going to give an early prediction, but I'll give an early lean. This feels like the first 3 points of the season.
Atlanta's kind of skating by. I mean, 2 injury time goals to beat a pretty bad San Jose team at home in the first week, and then could barely scrape by with a 1-1 draw. They did get a little hard done by on a VAR overturned potential game winner against Toronto. That game was on. We watched the first hour or so of that before Charlotte kicked off, and then it was on. We had an eye on it in the corner just from time to time, as because there's a lot of screens at EPR. Like, there's tons of screens. If needs be, we get into a playoff chase. We can be watching multiple games at once there. I'm loving that aspect of it. But regardless, Atlanta better be the first 3 points of the season, man. That's all I could say. Because
you're at that point now. Yeah, you're feeling like you're down at the bottom of the table. Did I see that there was only 2 teams in the Eastern Conference that haven't gotten a point yet?
Us in Montreal, I think. Yeah, I can double check the exact standings here. I'll share the screen again, but. I said this in a text message earlier. Like, I looked at the table and I saw that we were on the same list as all the bad teams, and I thought to myself, well, does that make us one of the bad teams? I don't know, but there's St. Louis up at the top, unbeaten, with a 3+ goal differential. We're down here with Montreal and Houston. Yeah, the only Eastern teams. New York City even has 1 point. Houston has looked really bad. Vancouver's been bad. Galaxy, they're only played 1 game, but they got kind of smashed by Dallas last night, or Saturday night, I should say. So it's tough, man. It's tough, but I think we have a chance to sneak. Atlanta is probably not this good to be a top 6 team right now. I don't know. Maybe it's wishful thinking at this point. I was probably a little too overconfident last week, so I'm trying to like temper my expectations a little more this week.
I tried to help you with that. I did. I tried to tell you, man. It wasn't setting up for a W. You've watched this team. It's just really difficult.
You did.
Charlotte FC just does not have success on the road. And
that's true.
It's just something that this club, this franchise hasn't been able to accomplish. Sustained success. Yeah, there's been some outliers. You go back to last city and you talk about the famous win over NYCFC.
Yeah.
And you can remember that. But I can remind you about a ton of different games that this club lost on the road last year. And that is going to continue to happen until this team can get shored up at the back. And I think ultimately that's where we are between the Miguel Angel Ramirez era and the Christian Latanzio era right now for Charlotte FC, is that the shift has been fully made. At this point last year, and by the way, injuries have a lot to do with this. I'm just waiting for Guzman Corujo to make it back to the starting lineup, and when he does, he's been practicing. He's been practicing. So maybe we see him this weekend, but probably not.
I do think that's part of what's been going on with Tuiloma, because Tuiloma's a guy who had to fight for his place in Portland. He was kind of in a 3-man rotation for 2 spots for a couple years in Portland, and now he comes to this new team. He's plugged into the starting lineup, but he knows coming down the line is like the stud center back that's going to be locked into the lineup as soon as he's healthy to go. So I feel like Bill's like trying to do too much now in this like time he has. Right. And that's why he, for some reason, decided to jump up and head that ball, pop it up over Pablo's head. For me.
I mean, the one thing that I'll say is that Bill Tuiloma is not terrible. It just comes down to chemistry, Danny. It just comes down to chemistry for me. That's all, right? I'm not trying to see him play for 2 matches in Charlotte FC and say he's not good enough. No, I'm just not like satisfied with the actual chemistry situation at the back. And the reason why I brought up MAR is because at this point last year, the strength of the team was the spine. The strength of the team was the center back positions. The strength of the team was the defensive midfield. And it seems to me that there's been a shift here in the last basically 6 months that has gone from defensive style football to front foot style football. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's good. But ultimately, individual mistakes at the back will absolutely burn you in that scenario, because when you're playing ambitious front foot football, when you're trying to make things happen in the opposition's final third, especially when you're on the road and you leave someone high and dry in the back, you're just asking for mistakes to be made from a group of people who barely play together. Think about this. I just need to reiterate this. It was a Bram Bronico, Adilson Malanda, Bill Tuiloma, and Nathan Byrne back line. Imagine if I told you that 6 months ago. That was going to be the back line.
Who?
Right?
Who are these people? Yeah. A year ago would have been a who. Like, what the hell? I would have been especially surprised to hear Tuiloma's name.
It needs to be shored up quickly. I think they need to be going for a clean sheet on Saturday. And this is going to sound pitiful, but I just want to set the expectation for this week, at least early in the week, how I'm feeling about Saturday's match against Atlanta. Like, if you offered me a 0-0 draw right now, I think I might take it.
Oof. What's the line?
I might take it.
Here's the deal. There's one person we need to see. There's one person I need to see that's going to make me feel good that we're going to go beat Atlanta. And I think you know who it is. So here's the deal. At the party at Elizabeth Parlor Room, I was having a grand old time. I had plenty of spirits to lift me up, and I was really loving the community feel and the vibe and everything. So I was kind of, overplaying. I was kind of like in a hyperbolic mood. So I was, kind of walking around the place going, fire everyone, sack them all. Latanzio out, Coach Fuchs, let's go, fire everybody, fire anyone and everyone, really, to be honest. But there's one person I do think needs to get dropped. Fired's a harsh word. I'm not going to say that, but he needs to be dropped. It's Byrne. I need to see Jalen Lindsey starting at right back against Atlanta United. If Jalen Lindsey starts, we will win. That's my pick of the game. I'm going to throw away. I'm going to reveal my I guess a spoiler is what I'm trying to say for Thursday's full match preview. But I will just say this, that if Jalen Lindsey starts against Atlanta, that's how we will win. He's got to be out there.
At some point, we want to see these young players get some minutes. And Jalen Lindsey is that for Charlotte FC. You're talking about a kid who has been with the program, been with the franchise. He should be a plug and play at this point at right back. And instead we're seeing Nathan Byrne, who has experience. Yes, ton of experience. And that's what we said Latanzio likes. And
I think we got sold a bill of goods on Byrne at this point. Because we were told that this is a guy who's a dynamic, makes attacks happen, a key to unlock your offense, and he's not offered any of that.
I actually think he's a bit of a defensive liability, to be honest with you.
And that too. Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. He's not making things happen dynamically, and he's paying for it on the back end. He got a yellow card. If it were me, we talked SofaScore ratings. They gave Brandt a 5.4. They gave Byrne a 6.6. I would flip those. Byrne was the 5.4 for me. He really just didn't get it done, and it was kind of annoying to watch him by the end. And I'm not the only one. I know by the end of the match, all of us were like, man, it may be time to give this guy a spot on the bench just to see, because we got a 24-year-old, maybe 25. I think Jalen is 25 by now. We got this young, entering his prime, signed to a longer term deal, local product. Let's connect with our fans a little bit here as a club with the lineup when we can, and especially when it's clear and obvious that Byrne's not getting it done, and Lindsey has to offer something. I thought Lindsey was pretty good in the preseason match we saw. Again, we're getting almost to the point where I should stop referencing preseason stuff. Probably one more match I can get away with it, but I thought Lindsey looked good in the preseason when he was out there. So what can I say?
If you can share your screen one more time, I just want to look at the second half substitution pattern as our final foray into this match that we'd like to soon forget about. And obviously it's that's perfect. And just obviously it's so difficult to concede that shit goal, 45 plus 5 to go into the half down one. That was a real kick in the nuts.
Right. For that changed everything for sure.
Yeah, it really was. So anyway, we get into the second half.
Sorry.
No. And there's one other thing that jumps out on this page to me is the amount of yellow cards. Man, that referee just loved putting on a performance. He was I felt like he could have been a ballet dancer. It's the way that he was getting on his toes to show someone a yellow, the full extension,
right,
reach into the air. Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah. He was feeling himself.
When he gave Westwood that yellow for dissent in stoppage time, he kind of was backing our way after giving the yellow, and he was pointing to his head you're not going to fool me. I know what, I'm the man. I'm in control here. I'm smarter than you. It was really, really pissing me off. That guy tilted me hardcore.
So we get into the second half, and again, this continues to happen, but it's fine. I prefer when I always think a winning side typically makes the first change. And I'm not sure the analytics are going to back that up. And I know it's only a couple of minutes before Santos and Vargas enter the match, but
it's proactive.
I love to be proactive. Yeah. Yes. I love to shuffle the deck and then draw the first card. Right. I want to be the one that gets the first card. And I was disappointed that Charlotte FC didn't do that before the 67th minute. I would have liked to see both Santos and Vargas come on 10 minutes before that. Right. So, just because of that, but I see that substitution there, Vargas and Santos, and I say, man, that's strong. That's really strong. It's just 10 minutes too late. Yeah. And it probably, I agree with you. It shouldn't have been Swiderski. And, it could have been Westwood in that situation.
I think Westwood was cooked after everything he'd gone through, and it's no slight on him. Again, he's coming back. He's playing his first real competitive matches after a long-term injury, and he's just 2 games in a row probably was tough for him. Hopefully he's getting rested up for Atlanta because he is a huge part of the team. I'm a huge fan. But in that instance, I would have left Carroll out there and subbed him. And, Carroll, at least as far as I could tell, at least I saw on the screen, he didn't really he didn't take it negative. He didn't show bad body language or anything when he was subbing off, even though it seemed a little early. I know he was pissed. I could be if I'm wrong about that, I'll have to go double check on a rewatch. I didn't see it though. And you think they would have showed it, but he's just so vital to our team. I know he's not above reproach. We called it a bold move when it happened, right? Oh, that's a bold move by CL to sub Carroll that early. Right. I didn't necessarily disagree with it. I just thought that Westwood substitution would have been better. And but again, I am happy to see some subs. Like you said, I might have subbed Andre at half, to be honest. As much as I was happy to see him out there, and he's a player that I really do love to watch play soccer. Not sure he was in his best position. I still think of him as a winger. I know Latanzio doesn't. Laddie Daddy just wants to put
it's like Latanzio just was waiting to see that yellow. As soon as he saw the yellow, he said, "Okay, we gotta get him going." And I think Vargas and Santos probably, if they are subbed in 10 minutes earlier, and if they take the field 10 minutes earlier, and Klaus doesn't get that easy goal to make it 3-1, then I think you could be potentially talking about a draw here. I think you could potentially be talking about getting some points. And again, I really want to.
We definitely looked the likelier side in the last 30 minutes of the game, barring the horrible mistake from Milanda, for sure.
And I want to emphasize the ability to have these changes. Santos, Vargas, and by the way, I like how they have Oren Mackenzie Gaines as oh my god,
OMG,
OMG too. Yeah. I never really realized his initials were OMG.
That's maybe a new nickname on the show. Who knows?
I have tonight. So to be able to make those offensive changes in the second half, that's an absolute luxury. And again, I think it underscores the issue with this club right now, and the issue is at the back. So I think what Christian Latanzio needs to do is he needs to reach deep down to that Italian football heritage of his and figure out how to make it work this week. It's a huge match with Atlanta coming up. It's a derby. It's a massive match. If you want to get your season kickstarted, if you want to forget about these 2 losses to start the season, you've got to get a result against Atlanta at home with a back line that has worked hard together and is prepared to communicate on Saturday afternoon at the Fortress. And that decision, who is in the back, it needs to be made today. When Latanzio shows up to work tomorrow, he needs to tell 4 guys, hey, you're the 4 that are starting together on Saturday, and we're going to drill the 4 of you together all week, and we're going to figure this out. And Pablo's going to be there too, and we're going to build some chemistry here, because right now it's clearly an issue, and this team will be better for it when this back line finally figures itself out. But right now it's really, really tough to watch.
The funny thing is, Corujo, when he comes back, he has no chemistry with Milanda either. Him and Guzman and Milanda never played together last year. So then the process starts all over again if we really want Guzman to come in and displace Tuiloma. So
Guzman's been in training, so technically you could have 5, where Guzman is kind of the 5th man, just shadowing that middle man. So there's
hopefully
there's 5 working together
in the same little squad.
Yeah, exactly. So
for sure. And hey, maybe when Corujo comes back, maybe we actually do experiment with some 3 at the back lineups. I don't know. I'd like to see a 4-4-2. I think we talked about that on Saturday night at the party. I think at this time, it's really about getting the connection between Carroll and Copetti. We saw it. It was beautiful. It created a goal, and we need more of that. So let's push them closer together on the pitch, I think, is another big tactic that we can dive a little deeper into later this week. Yeah, man, it's hard. I probably was breathing fire and brimstone when I went to bed last night. I remember just being so pissed. I was just really angry. And Latanzio said there's anger in this locker room. He said that in his post-game press conference. Well, yeah, we were all angry. Thankfully, sleep it off. Went for a gorgeous bike ride today on the Charlotte train trail. It was nice and sunny out, and I just got 15 miles in, just cruising speed, just having a good time, just seeing all the lovely people in Charlotte out for walks, walking their dogs, out for runs and having a good time. And cruise through Uptown a little bit, and that just set my head right. Anytime I'm like in a bad way mentally or physically, like a bike ride is like the perfect thing for me. So it got me back on track, and it just reminded me. Then I started thinking about the perspective of long season, a lot of soccer left.
Yep,
can't hit the panic button, and we just need to do better. The St. Louis thing, it just becomes a situation where it was their home opener of their club, and the odds were stacked against us. The ref was horrible. And well, the only other thing I want to mention was the tilt that I think the ref tilted all our guys, but what really tilted our guys, and it tilted me too, was that guy Klaus, the designated player striker for St. Louis, with the big dog food logo on his chest, who when he didn't even touch this ball that Tuiloma own goal, like it was like 100% a Tuiloma mistake. What were you even thinking jumping? Because Klaus didn't jump. He stayed on the ground and didn't even jump. And so then Klaus celebrates like with his fist, like, yeah, like we got this goal, like I did this. And it's like, bro, you didn't do anything. And it just like tilted me so bad. You could tell it tilted Westwood. You could tell it tilted Brawny. Brawny, I think, almost got in a fight later in the match. So composure issues were huge. And the fans, I'm allowed to get tilted. I can stomp around Elizabeth Parlor Room and yell and scream and spill beer on people and get away with it for the most part. Maybe people will not want to hang out with me that much anymore. But professional soccer players in the middle of a 90-minute game with in a 1-1 situation at that point, you can't go on tilt. You can't go give up a handball penalty in the first half stoppage time. You can't then go do a back pass. And shout out Nuno Santos, man. He created a huge chance for Westwood, and Westwood like fell down in the box trying to draw a penalty when he should have like stayed up and took the shot. He kind of just stumbled. But that was like an insane pass. That pass was like probably the most sublime moment of the entire night, to be honest. And then the diving header from a great cross from Kerwin Vargas. So like Vargas and Santos in their cameos so far this season have you got to say they've earned more time. So it's a big puzzle for Laddie Daddy to figure out how to put it together. I'm not super envious of the task, but I totally agree with you that he needs to have already thought. He needs to have spent all day. While I was out riding my bike, he needed to have like been setting, this is who my lineup's going to be, and tell those guys on Monday in training, like, guys, you're the ones. You're going to go. You're my squad to go out and beat Atlanta. Let's practice like it this week.
It's the Charlotte Soccer Show. I'm John Hayes. He's Danny Brams. You can follow us on Twitter at For the Crown Baby. You can follow me at John Hayes on air. You can follow Danny at Danny Brams. Cheers to you and that beautiful red wine. A Sunday evening bottle of red. That's how to after a nice bike ride. Just treat. Yeah. That's how you take care of yourself after a tough loss. Well done.
Yeah, self-care. It's important. It's incredibly important.
I'm thinking about putting on a movie tonight. Just kind of,
take your mind
my
feet
feet up and take my mind off of what was a tough loss. But having this conversation with you, hopefully it was cathartic. I hope the listeners who are either watching us here on our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. By the way, if you're listening to the show and you haven't checked us out on YouTube, get over there. You can see us recording the show on Sundays. Maybe we'll do this live at some point, Danny.
At some point, we'll figure out that technology
on a Sunday. And it's pretty simple. You just we can just stream it on. We can stream on our Twitter page and on YouTube Live at the same time. So
I'll get distracted by the chat boxes. I'll start answering people's chat questions and maybe derail the entire episode. But who knows? It'll still be fun.
So let's everybody just kind of get the work week started off right. It's if you're listening to this on a Monday morning, a Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning, whenever you're listening to the show, we appreciate you being here. Make sure you give us a rating, drop us a review on Charlotte Soccer Show, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. There's no sugarcoating it. This has been an absolute shit start to the season. It's one that we didn't want. And Danny Brams have a safe flight out there to, is it Nashville this year?
Driving to Nashville, across the Smokies. Nashville's right at the outer limit of where I will drive when I get sent there for work. So if it was a little bit further, I'd have to take a flight, but I do love the drive through the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. It's beautiful. Pass through Knoxville and on to Nashville. Beautiful.
Maybe we'll find some time to do a second YouTube episode this week, just previewing the match. If you're not going to be at EPR on Thursday night, maybe we just hop on YouTube and get it done. Either way, whether it's me, whether it's Danny, whether it's the both of us, we're going to be back later this week.
I think my hotel has Wi-Fi, so I should be available.
Sometimes it's nice when the hotel doesn't have Wi-Fi. That's
Right,
called a
right.
vacation. That's called a beach
Exactly.
vacation where
No
internet
doubt.
is of no mind.
Mhm.
So I think that's all I have for tonight. I appreciate everybody being here. And listen, stick together. Let's not over this, this next week heading into Atlanta start to become even more divided than we already are within the
Mhm.
Charlotte FC supporters group, within the fan base.
Mhm.
Let's
Royal family.
gel together, just like this back line needs to gel together.
Yep.
So
Beautiful.
um
Well said.
and we'll have a united front because we get into that building on Saturday, and it's
Early
support
kick.
for the players. It's a noon kick. It should be
Man.
3 points, and I'm gonna make my official prediction now. It's 3 points. It's a win for Charlotte FC on Saturday against Atlanta. I do think they bounce back. We'll tell you why though later in the week. But for Danny, I'm John. As always,
For the crown, baby.